Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to my Schoology intro video. This video is set up to kind of give you some of the features of Schoology and the things that I like about it, and not necessarily a how-to video. So I just kind of want to talk you through a few things on how this might work. And so first thing I want to state is that everything that I have gotten along the way, I started out with the district resources and used those district resources and modified them to fit what we were doing in our classroom and things like that. And so it's a good starting spot for the district resources, and hopefully ILs and everybody are getting those organized for us so that we can be ready to roll when we start remote learning. So I'm going to go through the getting started and get kind of page through things and just kind of show you different things and different features that are in here that you may or may not know about for you to kind of get your head wrapped around working in Schoology. So the first thing you can do is I labeled Unit 1, and in each section in here, I labeled it like 1.1, Unit 1, Session 1, Unit 1, Session 2, and so on and so forth. And I did that for all the units, and I think if we kind of do that, it's a little bit easier for the kids to it's easier for the kids to kind of go through and say, oh, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do, which sessions and things like that. And I'll talk about that when I get to the calendar in a little bit here. So I'm going to first talk about adding materials, and the add materials is in this spot right here. And as I kind of go through it, there are all kinds of different materials that you're going to add. I'm going to highlight a few of them. There will be trainings for almost all of these in the future, in the near future, that will be happening at school. So I just kind of wanted to show you that. So I'm going to click into add materials, and it's going to show you the same drop-down menu you just saw. This one's not interactive like the last one, but I just kind of wanted to show you that that's the first thing you might want to do, is add something in there. Everything I've added in here has been a page, but I will show you how to add some of the other stuff as we go. One of the things that's kind of cool is you can click the next arrow and it'll take us to the next section or the next page. And this is page add an assignment. So this is an assignment that I'm going to give. I want a writing assignment. I want the kids to write something for me. The cool thing about adding this assignment is the fact that I can attach an assignment from a Google Drive. I use this a lot for projects or a writing prompt, or even like an FRQ for my calculus kids. I can take something from my Google Drive, and it's just a quick little click and it will attach it. You have to go through and do a couple little things, but this is what pops up when you do the click. And you can even see in here, there is a Schoology Google Drive assignments. So in my Google Drive, there will populate its own folder for Schoology Google Drive. When you first use this assignment, it will automatically give you this folder, and it'll organize it by class for each class that you are using this for. I clicked on the dartboard project design just to have a test thing to show up, and this is basically what I got. This dartboard project shows up here, and then it will create a copy for each student. So the students will not be editing the original, they will be editing their own. And then they will see something that looks like this. I just called it test. Everything I called test. Just to show you, but this is what the piece will look like in Schoology, and that's what the assignment will be. All right. If I click onto the next one, those are for more open-ended, for tests and quizzes. These are ones that I give, like learning target quizzes, sometimes just homework assignments, things like that. In this test and quiz section, as you go through and kind of get the pieces, you have all these different types of questions you can add, multiple choice, true, and I'll get into what these are in a little bit when I get to the homework. But when it is all said and done, you'll get this little green puzzle piece, and this is the test and quiz that they will be working through. All right. When I click to the next page in section 1.4, this is just adding files, links, and external tools. It's fairly straightforward, but I will go into it a little bit more in depth. But the external tools are like Edpuzzle or Flipgrid, or stuff that you might want to add in there that's not necessarily in Schoology, but you can link to it. Albert links to it, things like that. So And then add a discussion. I use the discussion page. I created a lot of discussions for my emergency remote learning. When I did that, it was basically I was using those for um, attendance questions. And I would ask them a silly question and the kids could respond. And basically, what you would see, the kids would see this as their attendance question. It would be a little bubble. And when they clicked into it, they would see the question and then they could write their comments and whatnot as they went through. So, those are some of the basic tools that we are using. And so then now I will go into the next section where their homework and classwork and things that we are doing in class. And in Unit 2, you can see I have a couple different things. Test and quiz, this was that green puzzle piece that I was just talking about. When you click on it, you get all these choices. And basically, a lot of them, like the true, false, multiple choice, ordering, matching, all of those are kind of an auto grade. Basically, you'll put in what answer you want them to get, and it'll grade it for you, which is kind of nice. And then there's a semi-auto grading. Will be fill in the blank. You'll type in the answer for that one, and then if the kids match it exactly, then it'll mark it correct. If it's not exactly like spaced correctly and things like that, then it won't mark it correct. You'll have to go in and kind of grade those. And then the use of a rubric, short answer, essay questions. I like to use the rubric for that. And so I have a rubric down here. And basically you just set up the rubric and click through it, and you can kind of see how the parts, and it's just a click, 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 and it'll automatically give you the points and things like that. And I'll talk more about that in just a second. All right, but that's kind of the setup for the tests and quizzes. You can kind of go through and create your own. When I go into the assignments, this was basically where I was talking about, let me, oh, there you go. The assignment, this is kind of going back to what I was just dealing with. In the assignment, you get this little puzzle piece or this little thing with the pencil. They click on it. You can see that I had a rubric attached to it. It had a due date, which you can assign and make it due. When they clicked on it, this was the question that they received. They could go through and answer the questions on their own pieces of paper. I didn't do this one with a Google Drive, but you could have. I just did it where they were uploading pictures, which I thought was kind of cool. This is on the side as they turn them in. You can kind of see, I just kind of took a quick little snapshot so you can see that they were turned in on time. And then even the grades that I ended up giving them as I graded with the rubric. But you can see this was just a quick little snapshot of what I see of a student's work. And then in this upper right-hand corner here where the little rubric symbol shows up, that's where I can click and I will get this rubric to grade the assignment. And so, I mean, really, I love it because in this section, in the assignment section, besides the Google Drive, I can also just have them submit pictures of their work and grade them with a rubric, or I can just give them points or however you want to do it. But like, there's not really nothing fancy to it. They just have to take a picture either with their phone or their Chromebook and then upload the picture. And that's really all it comes out to be for that. And then in the next section, we have, let's try clicking to the next page here. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, there we go. I want to go to the next section, adding files and links. There it goes. And so this is what I was talking about before. I can add a file, and this is just if I want something for them to read or something for them to look at. Basically, it's just attach a file. It'll go to wherever your files are. I'm in downloads for this one. And then when I clicked on like my BC syllabus, this was just the file I chose, and it comes up looking like a PDF or even a Word document or whatever, whatever type of file it is. Okay. And so that's what they would see in their Schoology pages, just like the little links that you're seeing from mine. You can also do a link if you want like a video or something for them to have. This is the link section. I just put in finding limits, and when they show up as a link, it shows up looking like this little link here, and that's just a video they can click on and watch. And then adding an external tool, I added an Edpuzzle, and basically I just go through and type in, Edpuzzle practice, whatever I want to title it, find the Edpuzzle that I'm going to do. enable my grading. I can put due dates on it, things like that. And then when it shows up like this little puzzle thing here. All right. And so that's basically how we're going to add assignments and links and whatnot to all of our stuff. I think that completes the homework and classwork. Yep. And so then finally, how are we going to be working remotely? Well, in working remotely, there's all kinds of tools that we can use that will help our kids kind of keep organized and help us keep organized. The first one that I have here is the calendar. And in the calendar, this is just a front page. This is where the materials page shows up. I'm talking about the upcoming and add an event. And so as I do this, I will click on add an event. This window pops up and I put due this week, and look, unit 3, sections 1 and 2, or 3.1 and 3.2 are due. You can put due dates, you can put audio links, you can have them upload stuff. There's all kinds of different things that you can have them do here. When you save it, it comes over here, and you can see now it's on their front materials page. There is a thing that says due this week or whatever, and it gives them a week's deadline. And when you click on that assignment, this calendar pops up, and it will have a list. It'll show on the calendar, just like in a Google Calendar, the what is due and how long a time they have to work on it. All right, and so that's kind of the calendar thing to keep people moving. There are ways to link the green puzzle pieces so that they show up over in this upcoming and the assignments and things like that. You just put a due date on them, and they will show up over here so the kids can click that way to get to them as well. So then the next one beyond the calendar is student completion. So in a folder, when I went into Unit 3 here, I have this folder, and say I want the kids to go through this folder one by one and make sure they look at every page. And so that's what the student completion portion is for. And in the student completion portion, basically what I can do is I click on the options, which gives me this drop down. And it actually has got two really cool things. You could individually assign. And if you individually assign stuff, this is a good way to RTI or do something for kids that need a little extra or something like that. You can assign something individually, and when you assign it individually, only they will see it, or only the kids that you assign it to will see it. And so that's kind of nice. We did that with our junior class when we were doing when we had in our geometry classes, we had juniors that were in there. And so when they were doing their capstone assignment for the math portion, we would assign it only to the juniors during the remote learning. And that was kind of nice because they could only tell. They only had the work that they saw, and they didn't get everybody's work as well as what the sophomores were doing. So it was kind of neat. But student completion is what I'm talking about. If you click on student completion, this window pops up, and then you can add the requirements. And if you click on the little box up above, they have to complete them in order or not. It's up to you. But they must go through, like in this one, I have them that they have to view every item, and they have to do it in order, which is kind of nice. It keeps them kind of moving. And you can tell when that's on is you'll see these things. Once you hit save, this is what happens. You'll see must view this item, must view this item. And what will happen is kids will try to skip by something, and one will remain gray, and they won't be able to click into the next one without going through each one if you put it in sequential order. So we use that a lot in remote learning because it was just nice to make sure that the kids were at least looking at the stuff and having exposure to the pages. We couldn't make them write it down, but at least we had, we knew they were going through and kind of looking at the stuff. All right, that was a really powerful thing for us. After student completion, there's the grade book. Grade book's fairly standard. It sets up kind of the same way as we do in ours, but like I said, we're going to do training. This is just, classwork, homework, learning targets, however you want to do it. This is just basically the grade book setup portion over here. And then once you're done, you'll get a grade book that will kind of show up like this. And this is just a clip from my calc class because I don't have any other active classes. So this is just kind of how it shows up. And you can see like the little blue things on the side is that they were uploaded pictures and things like that. All right. And then beyond the grade book, there's conferences, and this was huge. I use these conferences basically to present lessons and stuff like that during remote learning. And I think that's probably what we're going to try to do here. We'll see. But in these, it's kind of the same as a Google Meet and whatnot. But the cool thing is you can upload PDFs to it and use notes and things like that. So from the front page, there's conferences down here. You click on the conferences and then it asks you to create one. And you will create one, and there you can see there's a completed button too. So after you've created it and ended it, and it'll save. Kids can go back for 2 weeks and look at the completed videos and watch what was done those days too, in case they miss them. But you just create a new conference, title it whatever you want, and when you start the conference, this is how it opens up. All right, and so then in this one, what I did is you can hide things. This is just a running chat. If the kids are going to chat, you'll have the list of all the kids over here who are in there. There'll be mic. You can turn on webcam. You can turn on the webcam if you want. I usually don't. I usually let my mic go. But you can turn on webcams. You can share. There's all kinds of things you can do in here. You can write on these. You can have the kids write on them. There's just all kinds of options. And so then when you click on this plus button in the lower corner here, you get all of these different things that can pop up. I use the upload a presentation. And when I uploaded a presentation, it kind of looks like this. And as I jump through the hoops and click and upload my assignment, this is what I would get. And then, like I said, I can write on this. The kids can write on it if I let them. We can talk about it. They can ask questions. You can kind of go back and forth. It's kind of like just being in the classroom with them, but you just don't see them face to face. But if you turn on the webcams and they turn on their webcams, then I guess you could see them face to face as well. All right. So the conferences was very powerful for me as I went through this. All right. And then I believe the last thing that I want to talk about is the analytics. And this is just, you can look at it for all time. You can look at it for a week or whatever. But obviously, I don't have a whole lot of data because I haven't been dealing with this. But this is good to look at once in a while, the analytics, just to see what the kids are doing and when they're doing it and things like that. And, if you ever get a kid that says, oh, I was in there for a week. I spent, 300 hours in there. And then you go look and you see that they hadn't clicked in for a month. You can tell that. If you click on one of these kids, you get a report that looks like this. And you can kind of go through and you can see when they were doing stuff and how long they spent on it. And it's just a lot of information. And if you click on that, the blue here, you can get what the assignment was. And there's all kinds of information that you can use. All right. So this is just an intro to what we're going to be talking about over the next couple weeks as we get prepared for remote learning and for the school year. Thank you.